All right, geeks, so here's what we're doing today. We're out on South Holston. We know we can probably go right across the lake and catch some fish, but what we're doing, and one of the things that I like to do is explore new areas, find different bites. And during the wintertime, even if we don't catch them, one of the things that I really enjoy doing is using an A-rig, because in open water, we kind of got that bite down. So we kind of know where to go look for the open water bass this time of year. But what we're trying to do is find some sneaky bass. Some bass like this rock right here behind us. Got some big old crevices. It comes out a little deeper. So far, what we've fished behind us has been, shallower. So it's stopped in about that 20 foot. When what we're really looking for is about that 20 to 35, 20 to 40, because I believe that's where the most and the bigger bass are going to be. So we're going to cover some rocky areas. This bank especially gets a lot of sunlight during the day. So we're going to take what I consider to be one of the best ways, one of the best fish finders is an Alabama rig. So we're going to work it over top of these rocks and these crevices. And we're going to see where we get groups of bass to come up and feed.
That thing just drifting. It's broke loose and it's just drifting, you reckon? I don't think nobody's on that thing. I think it's just drifting. I ain't seen nobody, not one time. I think it just broke loose and floated, ain't it? You seen anybody on it? Maybe.
Jigging an A-rig. He got that painted one too, so he liked that. Right in the snoot. So like I said, we put a little bit of purple. That's a ghost shad. We put a little bit of purple and just a touch of chartreuse on it. It's faded out pretty good. So, we've got one in the boat. And again, we're not really trying to catch bass today. So one of the things that I always want you guys to remember, I don't get help. I don't pay guides, or I don't go out and learn this stuff. I might have a buddy tell me about a technique, but I don't go out and learn it or even really have my buddy teach me. I don't have any friends that have really ever given me any spots, maybe one or two guys in the 40 plus years. I come out here and figure it out on my own, because when I'm doing it, I want it to be my own. And that means you spend a lot of days like this, not really fishing, but hunting. And that's what we're doing today. We're hunting. So we know we got some pretty good dots out here in open water, and we could probably get out here, get on the LiveScope, dedicate our day to that. But we've also got some good rocks, and we're finding some bass out there in about that, really a little bit deeper than what I expected. 35, we'll say 30 to 50 range. The one we caught right there, he was in about 40 foot, and he was straight down, and I was taking that A-rig, and there was about 4 of them down there, and we were just vertical fishing him, just sitting there shaking it, barely moving it. I mean, just shaking it like you would a shaky, or a shaky hit, or a minnow. So I can't tell you how many times we've done that this summer to fish that are on the bank. So I really do think your bigger fish are out here, especially smallmouth, since it's a smallmouth lake. So far, what we're catching on the bank and out, up against the rocks haven't been really good quality. But we're also weeding out areas and trying to find that type of quality. We may run upon a group of them, a little area that's just loaded with 5-pounders too. That's what that's what you got to do.
I thought about it, but it's warmed up now since the sun's hit. Get it back. I thought it was gone.
Oh, if I've got him, it's a miracle. Oh.
Dang on it. We're involved.
This looks like good for this crawl. Much better fish. There we go. Look how pale he is. He's down there about 35 feet. And he hit the painted up one. Long and skinny though. Golly, look how long and skinny. And so, again, geeks, I wanted to show you this because I want to show you how we spend days out here just searching. And what we're looking for here, if you'll see over my shoulder, there's a gut. And so a ditch, a drain, a lot of different things. And what that does is it'll congregate some right in the middle. And so we stopped out here and slowly moved up. Sure enough, right out here, 35 feet deep, there was one in the gut, actually a bunch in the gut. I was keeping that A-rig very close to the bottom. Didn't even see him come up off of it. Just felt him hit. But there we go. So I've got a couple of different Alabama rig rods that I like to use, but this is really became my favorite. I've had it a little over 2 years now. This is the Cashin A-rig rod. I think they list it as the umbrella rig rod, on Tackle Warehouse if you want to go pick you one up. Again, links will be in the description. One thing that I love about Cashin, they're made in the USA right down to the blanks. So a great company. Now, a lot of people ask me about these and about how they grip. Well, I'll tell you, they have incredible grip. One of the things that a lot of people ask is when they get wet, how they grip. They actually get a little more tacky. Not like, you know, somebody left a sticker on there, you know what I'm saying? But they will grip even more. This is a 7'10", so you're gonna be able to throw that A-rig a long way. It is a heavy, moderate, fast, so you're gonna be able to cast that bait, really load it up and get it out there quite a good distance. Now I've got this coupled up. This is the old BB1. The new one works just fine. I've got a few of those too from Lew's. This is a 6-4-1. Now, if you're fishing deeper, it's like I always say, don't go above a 6'5", 6'4", 6'3", even a 5 on an Alabama rig rod this time of year, going to get you more bites because you're not going to overpower it. Their bite window is a little bit smaller and you're not going to pull it away from them. Now, the line that I've got on here, I've actually got Canine Fluoro, which is their co-poly, because it does have a little more stretch, but it is still very invisible. This is actually 18-pound Canine Fluoro. Guys, go check them out. Listen, their silk braid, their JDM braid that just hit the market, if you're needing to make a long cast on a spinning rod, you better go check that stuff out. It is incredible. But I do have a 10% off discount just for you geeks. So we only fished for about 4 hours, but what we discovered is some new areas that we can really break down. And that's kind of what we were doing. So we weren't necessarily trying to find bass, but we were looking at key spots on the main lake, some points, some areas that had some rock, some areas that had rock that's going to be in the sun this time of year all day long. So big style rock that has those crevices in it where those bass are going to hold. And what we found today, we'd had a warm up, we had a real big cold front. We're about 2 days into that, and the water temps are now back down in the high 40s, 47 degrees roughly all day. And that's pushed those bass down on this super clear lake into about 35 to 40 feet of water. And that's where we were finding them. Now, what's really interesting is even though we're fishing the bank, a lot of those areas had heavy concentrations of shad. So we would go down the bank and there would be a section, say it was a football field long, maybe 2, but all of a sudden there would be a lot of shad out behind us, and we would kind of turn the scope around and there would be some good groups of bass, some 1s, some 2s. We've seen a few schools here and there. So generally how we operate is if we can find an area that holds bass, whether it be on the bank or out in open water, what I feel like is those bass that are kind of on the bank, on the bottom, they're not necessarily active bass, especially on this lake that's full of smallmouth, but instead the ones that are out roaming are out there looking for those shad. And for the most part, we feel like they're probably the better fish that are out there too. But now what we can do on this lake is, since we found 3 or 4 good spots, good areas, we can go ahead and eliminate a lot of the dead water, and we can come right to these spots, especially right now during the wintertime. You know, the bass, like I always say, the bass during the summer and the winter are at their most stable. So they're probably going to be there. They may move down a little bit deeper, but for the most part, the water temps on this lake's not going to get much colder this year. So they'll be right in that probably 25 to 50 foot area, depending on the water temp. And then you're going to have those bass out in open water, which we also found to be anywhere from that 20 to 40 foot area. A lot of them hovered right around that 30, 35. And so that allows us to be able to come into a few tighter areas and do things like fish the bank or go out and pick up our minnow baits and our scoping style baits and go out there and, you know, grind out a good limit. And from there, during the wintertime, you know, we can begin to try to catch some fish to see what quality fish are in the area. And then we can follow those fish to their spawning areas in the spring. And it's just about putting work in. Geeks, that's what I want you guys to know about us, is a lot of times I don't show you all this stuff because we don't necessarily catch fish. Every time we're going out, we're not necessarily going out to just catch a limit or catch a whole bunch of fish. A lot of times, and this is the good thing about LiveScope, is we can just narrow down areas. And when I say narrow down areas, we can narrow down areas and find the spot on the spot, and now we can come back and take advantage of that. So, you know, days unlike today when, you know, we got a full day to fish, we can come back and have these sweet little milk runs where we can go catch bass. So, you know, that's kind of what I enjoy. I like getting better on a lake, learning about a lake, and that's kind of what today is. And that's also the reason why we chose an 8-blade A-rig. We can weight it, we can get it down there, we can fish it the way we want it. And you know, you've seen it in the gut. We pulled right up to that gut, and I think it was maybe the first cast we caught that fish. But those are areas, you know, we're focusing on those really key, you know, areas like points or isolated groups of boulders. You know, we found a few brush piles even that we had a few bites on, and that always seems to be real good this time of year when you can find some good rock and some good wood together. It just seems to always produce. We had a couple of bites, they didn't take it, but you know, we know where those spots are. We've got those places marked, and we can come back and fish them more efficiently with baits that we feel like are going to work a little bit better. All right, so this is a video of how, I don't even know what you're going to call this, right? Like, I mean, I'm just showing you how we put in work. And we spend a lot of days doing this sort of stuff. And I like it. I like to be able to go out and find other fish and then through the years take advantage of it. But all that said, hopefully you guys kind of learn something, you know, learn maybe not to always go out and be impatient and fish, you know, just to catch them, but go out and fish to find them. And that way you're kind of writing checks that you can cash later and have those really great days where you're catching 40, 50, you know, 100 bass, or, you know, for that matter, 10, 20, you know, whatever a great day is to you. And that's how we manage to do it, is we just go sacrifice days a lot of times like this to find new things and do things differently than what a lot of people are doing. All right, anyway, now, if you want to see some really good fishing videos and a pretty good fishing video when we talk about a couple of these patterns that we found this winter, make sure you go check out this video right here. Otherwise, questions, comments in the comments section below. Like it if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you ring that bell and be part of the 100% Watch Squad. You need to try.